again, and we're here today. We're working on another page in our For the Love of Australia journal. And so we wanted to do this one, and I thought we would do another sort of collaged another collage page. So I actually want to use some of my green metallic type tissue paper that I have. So I'm going to pull a piece of it off. I also have some of this that's in gold, but we're going to use the green for today. And it's almost, I don't know if you can actually tell, you actually can see through it, which is sort of neat. But thought we would kind of cut this down into a more manageable size. So I'm just going to cut along sort of where the fold line is here. And then I'll cut over to here, just to have a smaller piece that we can work with. Okay, so we have that. I also have this piece of gold, so I thought we would use the gold and the green together. So do that. Let me just sort of cut a piece of the green off. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to adhere this because it is sort of a metallic. Let me clean the top of my glue off. You really need to open that tip up some, but I'll just go ahead and I'm gonna have to open it up because I have to squeeze on it way too much. Okay, and we'll try that now. Oh yeah, much better. Okay. Make sure I cut around my hole really well. And we'll just start with green in the corner and I'm hoping with using the Fabri-Tac it's going to sort of create pattern designs sort of under the green. Hopefully it won't. See how it does through. It almost looks like it's going to sort of show some underneath. That's okay. Then we'll rip it. And this has got a coating on it too, so it's not going to want to rip. There we go. And then I'm going to grab my ink and ink the ripped edges up as I go along. Just sort of create that extra dimension to it, sort of the added layer. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and let's do this right along here. Try to keep the Fabri-Tac off our hands, although it'll roll off. And I'm going to use some of my fabric as well. Pinking shears, I guess, and we'll run it along there. use that, which might be cute because that'll add a little decorative edge to it. Overlap where that glue is. A little bit of this paper that we that paper that we dyed in that was green. Let's actually take that up into the corner and then we can okay, we need something right in there, so let's see what else we can find here. I'm going to rip off a small piece of this tissue paper to put in this little area up here. Maybe even down here some. Fill that triangle up with it. So we have this little extra piece sitting here. And then I'm going to try to use this art glitter glue and see if it'll hold this metallic down maybe so it doesn't show through as much. We'll see. If it doesn't work, we can always use the Fabri-Tac. Okay, so that did do a little bit better on there. I think where that sort of bleeds through on there. Okay, and I got some scraps of different fabrics over here that we can use. Put our little doily right there. We'll put a little scrap of this tissue paper. And put it along this edge over here. And again, I'm running it just off the edge so we can trim it up if we need to. Okay, now I am going to get my Fabri-Tac out for putting this doily on because it holds it really well. Fabri-Tac stings everywhere. I'm just going to sort of put this, let's put it like there where it hangs off a little bit off the edge. It's pretty cute. Add another layer. And again, I'm just going to throw a little bit of this on here, try to hold it down some. And try to put some through here. And again, I'm just randomly putting this on here. I'm not really following any pattern or anything like that. I just sort of want it random. And we have some of this violet. Sort of stick with the triangular pattern we've been going with. These have been sort of triangular, so. And since this has holes in it, I'll put some of the tissue paper underneath of it just to sort of put something that'll show through the holes, so it won't be as, you won't see the base page underneath of it. Again, I'm going to ink the edges up. And this gold paper I got from Michael's. It's just foiled cardstock. Put that there and cover that. Let's see, we've got this. So we'll put this down here in the corner. Grab my Fabri-Tac again because I'm going around the holes. I want to make sure it sticks really well. More of this. I got a little scrap of this green paper we can use. And again, I'm just trying to collage it on and cover that page. Let's see what else I have here. Got this little scrap of lighter green that I think will go fit right over in here really well. Grab another piece of my doily here. We'll put it over here on this side. Let's just grab one of these little triangles in the middle. There, we'll cut a little more piece of this green. down here in the corner. And then put a little glue on this. Down the edges in the middle just a tad bit. And then I think I'm gonna overlay it like this, where it'll lay over, so it'll show, you know, all those different colors across there on it. Okay, let me clean my lid off over here because it's starting to get really, I don't want my lid to be forever stuck on there. We'll never be able to get it off. There we go. Okay. Let me move these out of the way. And we're going to flip it over, and again, we'll trim along the edges. I'm going to fold my doily back though, because I don't want to trim it off. So I'll get really close up in here to do this, so hopefully I'll be on camera. If not, then I apologize just for a second. I'm trying to trim up where the doily is. And again, I'm just trimming up around the outside edges, you know, so we have that nice and square. I'm going to have to go back and trim some of it up, especially where the fabric is, because sometimes the fabric likes to be lumpy and all this up and get it out of the way. Okay, so there is our base page, and again, that's very, make sure I have it the right way. Okay, so this is the right way up. And let me move some stuff around here so I can get to my page over here. Because I actually had one of the doubles that I wanted to use. Oh, I got a piece. One of the doubles that I wanted to use of the smaller ones that I have set aside for the other side. So I was going to go ahead and use the eagle. But I actually think I'm going to use this pigeon over here because he's extremely green. So actually I switched that up. So we're going to use the bronze wing pigeon. And again, I'm going to do my, sort of my bubbly fussy cutting. And I'm just, you know, very widely sort of fussy cutting around it. And then we'll ink around the edges. So let me grab my over here. And a lot of times I would put, you know, something in the background to attach it to. And but I sort of like the random colors of this. Of how we collaged our page. I need to trim this up just a bit. But I like the randomness sort of it, and that's what I've sort of tried to keep this. And I sort of want to put him where he's over here in between the two doilies. I curve this just so it doesn't have quite that triangular look to it. Okay, so I think we're going to put a little bronze wing pigeon right about right there. I think I do. I like it. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to do something a little bit different with this one. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute. And I'm going to, I'm just going to use a piece of random tea-dyed paper. And I'm going to use my gold leafing pen. I want to go around the outside edges just to create sort of a golden frame. And again, I'm just going to go around the outside edges. Just sort of outlining it as I go. Not anything major, just... I'm sorry if that's one of those, like, noises that bother you, like somebody doing their fingernails on the top. And again, I'm just really lightly going around just along the outside edge. Not anything major. Just enough to sort of highlight that edge. Even though I inked it, by inking it, it actually went, even as you go around with the gold, it creates a darker edge. And I don't want to ink on top of the paint. Because I don't want to chance any of it getting on my ink pad. So if you ink it prior to doing it, it actually does still show through. So, but this will put a nice bold outline around it, which will sort of help it pop from off the page a little bit more too. And again, this is an 18 karat gold leafing pen by Krylon. You can buy them at like Walmart and places like that. If you look where like their paint markers are, you can usually find metallic paint pens in different kinds. I have paint pens in all different types of paint pens. Okay. And again, I just used a scrap piece of the outside edges. And I'll have to look, because I think I actually have some green. Yeah, see, I actually have a green one too. Maybe we'll use the green one on the other page. So I'll pull it out. But there's another, a gold one, but it's an extra fine. There's silver, purple, blue, red. I'm just getting all different kinds of colors. That's just some that I have. Okay. So I'll set my green out and maybe we'll use that later. I am going to use my Fabri-Tac on here because of adhering it to the doily. I want to make sure that it, you know, stays pretty good. So we'll glue this on there. We do want to do, I do think I'm going to look in my bin and pull out some of my fabric to put on the bottom. And see that gold just sort of outlined that really nicely. Okay, so let's do some ribbon along the bottom. Let me see. I want to do it across the bottom over in here. So let's do some of we'll do another ribbon across the bottom. And again, I'm just going to dab some of the glue down. And pull some of these threads because I want it to sort of look more shaggy along the edges. And that's just pulling threads will give it that more random. Over time it'll create that anyway, but okay. Then I'm just gonna, and all I'm doing is sort of doing little pleats. Or little, you know, tuck and folds. And I can go in there and, you know, shoot some more glue in there if I need to by the time we get to the end. But I actually think, because we have this darker green up here, I actually have this green ribbon, so I think I'm going to put some of it down the middle. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit longer than what I need. And then I'm just going to, and I'm going to dab it in between the little pleats. I'm hoping you guys can see that, hopefully. I don't know. I'm just going to sort of lift the little folds, pleats, I guess. They're pleats is what they are, but, and just sort of dab some glue on them and run a bead down the middle. And then I'll start on this side. Let's put it where it hangs off just a tad bit, about like that. And then as I go down the line, it'll push that little pleat down. So instead of like your standard little ribbon, it'll have a little pleat through it, which is cute. We can trim this little end up over here so it won't get in the binding too much. Okay. going to take a little bit of my yellow, just a teeny tiny, and when I say teeny tiny strip, I'm doing maybe, 3/8 of an inch maybe, if that, yeah, probably, yeah, a little bit more than a quarter, but not quite a half. Okay, I'm gonna grab my box of buttons over here. Trying to find one that I really like. This little one's pretty cute. And I have a lot of give in here because of this ribbon, so I'm actually gonna try and see if I can. Let me find, where's my little pliers? I don't know what I did with my one little. What's that one? Oops. Sorry, I'm. No, that's not gonna for me. I can use these. I have my other little pliers I was using, and I'm gonna try to again cut the little nub off, and watch that because a lot of times it will flip out. And then I'm gonna basically tie this like I'm gonna tie it in a knot, but create that little bitty loop right there. And then I'm just gonna come right here in the middle, put a little nice dab of glue there for it. I'm gonna put the knot part down. And I always like to use my bone folder for this because I can sort of apply pressure and I don't get my fingers all yucky. Okay. Then I'm going to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac around the bottom of my button. And I mean, I could leave that right like that. That does not look bad. But I sort of like using the little gold buttons. Just with all the gold, I think it sort of adds an extra little something something to it. I'm just gonna wait for that to tack and attach, and we'll be done with this side of the paper, or this side of the page. Then we're going to flip it over today because we're doing both sides of the page today. And I'm going to cut my holes first because I like knowing where they're at. And again, where the fabric's at, you may have to trim some of those edges away, but it shouldn't be too crazy. Okay. Okay, and then on this side, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to grab some of my twine. And I have some yarn in different colors, so I'm going to grab that And I'm going to do all greens. Except for one little bit that'll be in a slightly gold. Let me grab those real fast. We have this and this pretty gold color. Okay, so you're going to need our Mod Podge brush today. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to turn this sideways and I'm going to, oops, I'm going to hit that light a bunch today. I don't know why. Let me put my camera down a little bit better. Hopefully that's a better view for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm just going to put a really thin coat on, nothing crazy, just a nice thin coat. Just like if you were going to apply napkin or something like that. If you don't want to use Mod Podge because of warpage or anything like that, you can just use your glue stick for this. I'm just using Mod Podge because I have it and I tend to use my Mod Podge for a lot of mixed media gluing. Okay, so we have that covered really nicely. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little gold. I'm going to cut some of those strings up. It has a little knot in it, so I'll just cut the little knot out. And I'm just going to randomly throw those little strings on there. And I sort of like to put them where they don't cross over each other. One little more small section over here. And then I'll just sort of hold it down and put some Mod Podge on top of it. Just sort of adhere it down. And it doesn't have to be completely flat. But I do try to just sort of attach it down. Put a nice little glue base down. And then I just sort of try to tap it down. I guess there's a hair in there. We got the hair out. That's stuck to my finger. Okay. So we have that in there. Then I want to grab, let's see, what do I do with it? Let me put it back in my drawer, so give me a second. Yes, I did. I have green and gold glitter, so I'm not going to use a lot. I'm just going to sprinkle a little glitter on here. Oh! Try not to use that much, but it's okay if you do. again, that's the gold. I'm going to use some of the green. If I can get it open. It does not want to open. Okay. We'll just put some green on there. Okay. So now I'm going to grab some of my little green threads and put it around in there. Okay. And I think I'm actually going to leave that there. Okay. Then I'm going to find, let me get over here in my pile, because I have leftover napkin that where I took off the back of a napkin. So I'm going to take it and just sort of push it down some on top. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my Mod Podge and I'm going to Mod Podge my napkin. And it's gonna, you'll see it'll come through. And you'll be able to see some of the glitter and some of the really nice colors will come through once it gets itself going. But where you put any of the strings or anything like that, you'll have to sort of, as you put your Mod Podge on, go in different directions. Don't like just all go, you know, vertical, horizontal. You have to move around. Because by moving around it creates more of that accent, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And you'll see the glitter will come out more like, almost like little piles of color. It's really weird. And, you know, try to be careful because you can rip the napkin if you're not careful. It's like right there. It was almost perfect timing, wasn't it? And, so don't put as, you know, start with lighter coats of the Mod Podge and then add it as you need it. Don't just soak it, although it will cover. You just have to work with it a little bit. And in a minute I'll show you how to fix that if it tears. So I hope everybody is enjoying it. I know this is a little bit different than what I normally do. And we'll be back next month to doing, you know, back to more like a regular journal. Okay, then where that little hole is, I actually have a couple of them here. I'm just going to lay another piece of tissue over top the hole like that. Grab a little bit more glue and go over it, and it'll mold right over that, and you won't even notice that really that there's another layer there once it dries. So now I'm going to trim the towel. Although usually you can pull, if you just pull where it's wet, it'll come. Just be careful that you don't like rip it up past, and then when it dries you can go back in and cut the outside edge off. I think that's what we'll do. Just make sure we pull really lightly along the edges so it doesn't. And this is, like I said, you know, when we are using our napkins, this is just like basically the throwaway white part that we tear off. So it works great over top of, you know, like here when you want to use like 3D or, you know, dimensional type objects. If it's something small enough like this where it'll attach. Okay. I'm going to pause this real fast and let this sort of dry, and then we'll be back to do the next step. Okay, we are back, and this side is dry, and I don't know if you can see, hope you can see where the glitter actually shimmers through, and it looks more like a gold accent. I don't know if you guys can really see. Hopefully you'll catch where that glimmers in there. So it comes through like a gold accented paint or something like that, but it's more iridescent. So it comes through really, really pretty. But I want to add a little more to it. So I was looking around at all of my wonderful items, and I really do like the gold. I want to accent the gold some more. So actually I have these. Oh, you know what? Let me use one of the smaller ones, because I think actually I have one of well, not one. I have a pack of them, but they're the little triangular makeup sponges. And I'm going to actually use that with this stencil, and I want to use the round since we have all the little squares, and just sort of randomly, you know, place some dots throughout. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper here. Use this one I was goobing on earlier. I'm going to put a little gold paint out. And again, this is Folk Art Metallic Inca Gold. And I'm going to get a little bit on my sponge. I'm just going to tap it out some because I don't want to have so much that it'll be overkill. And I'm just going to randomly sort of tap. And I don't even want them to be bold. I just want them to be added to the background, but not, you know, super bold on there. Although, I mean, I can put some darker on there and let them dry. Do that. And just randomly tap some on there. I just want to add a little bit of an accent, but not overly put it on there. I think we'll put some up here, and then we'll call it good, because I don't want to. Stencil off, because I can clean it off later. Okay, I am going to hit this with my drying gun just a bit to sort of dry it because I don't want it to smear in a minute. I'm just randomly sort of adding some color to it. I thought the dots would sort of accent that green a little bit in the background. I was going to go around, well, I'll talk while I'm drying here, but with the outside edges, remember where we tore it off? But I actually sort of like that paper hanging off the edges, sort of like a homemade type paper look. So I'm going to actually leave that on the edges to leave that like almost like a deckled edge. Most of it's dry on here. We have one other thing we're going to add to this page before we add, so I'm going to go ahead and pause that. I actually have some green shimmer mist, and I'm just going to lightly spray just to add a little bit more green to it on top. Just to add a little bit of darker color tone to it, and this is alcohol ink, so it will dry pretty fast. Okay, let me dry it with my heat gun again. And most of that coloring will lose, or well, the darkness, a lot of the darkness will lose when as it dries. But I didn't want it to have that really like solid white color, if that makes sense. So I wanted to give it that little black background bottom color of green. And you could do that with any color. I could have put some of the Inca Gold and done it. Okay. So that's what our background ends up looking like on this side. So it turned out let me try to hold it up so you guys can see it. And it really does have, you can really see that paint shimmer on there, and even the glitter where it's really very iridescent, very metallic-y. Okay, then we're going to use our spiny anteater, or the porcupine. So we're going to trim these out. And we're going to ink these up. In our little brush tail rock wallaby. And again, these I'm actually trimming a little bit closer than I normally would, because obviously I don't want to cover up a massive amount of the page. Okay, so we will probably put him, maybe right in here. And I really like how that gold shines through there, so maybe up in here. And then we can put this little guy, you know what? Maybe we'll just put this little guy on there. Or maybe you want to use one big one instead of... Let me pull them out and see. see what we have left here. And I want some that has a lot of, oh, a Regent Honey Eater might be good in there because he has a lot of gold on him. Yep. I think we'll use him. Oh, we're going to use the Regent Honey Eater. The other ones I just have ready now. And again, I'm trimming like closer to him. Because I want as much of the background showing as possible. Nothing's worse than making a background that looks really pretty and then covering every bit of it up. Yep, I think that's where I want him. So let me grab my, you know what, let's use the green around him and accent the green. So let me set this to the side. My page out here, and I'll just take my marker up really good. Sorry, I know that's probably like, I'll try to put it to the side so it's not so crazy. Okay. And this is the green. This is actually a new one. When you first open the new ones, they take a little bit for a second for the green to flow down. There we go. Okay, and then we're just gonna, again, very lightly around the edges. And again, like I said, you can find these in all different colors. And they're great if you want to, like, you know, a certain color outline. If you're doing a purple journal, then you can use purple. Or if you're using a pink, you can do pink. Or they have it in white if you're using something that's really dark and you need something either that yellow, orange. I mean, they've got them in just about every. If there's a paint color in it, you can usually find that. And then you just shake them up and use them like that. There's not a lot to them. Okay, let me set this to the side. They do smell like spray paint, so you know, make sure you have pretty good ventilation. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna put him right here. I think I do. Trying to decide if I want to put a little cheesecloth behind him. Yeah, I think I do. I think I'm going to use the green. And just cut off a little bit of them out here. Hold on, guys. I'm thinking here. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Just looking around, seeing. So I'm just going to put some Fabri-Tac to hold my cheesecloth down. I'm going to put my glue on there. I'm going to put him right there. Make sure I push down really hard so it oozes through the cheesecloth and onto the paper. So it adheres really good. Okay, and then we've got one more thing to do. I'm not going to put anything around the edges on this page because of, you know, everything being there, but I am going to just lay this like here. I'm going to add a little texture paste along this edge over here, and I'm going to use my green. Stir it up really good. The thing I don't like about texture paste is, you know, even though these are airtight, it doesn't harden. It just gets firm, and you have to really mix it up to get it a nice, airy where it spreads really nice. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use. I don't need near that much. And I'm just going to sort of put some going down through here, and I'm just going to sort of it in a triangular shape. I'm just going to go from like right there. And again, just like, just sort of moving it around. And then I'm just going to peel it up. Some of those I'm going to press down just so they're not super. So I'm going to put that there. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to do just a few, when I say a few, I mean like literally just, you know, right like that, just a teeny tiny little area. Let me grab my rag and wipe over here where I got it over here. I'm going to turn and I'm going to do some right along, just right here, in a little bitty triangle, all the way up almost to my bird. Not over top of him, but just right up to the edge of him. There we go. I'm going to set this to the side. Scrape off my knife. And put it in water. The thing about working with a mat that you can clean afterwards is I can spray it down and bleach it and clean it all up, so I don't have to worry about it as much. Wipe that clean. And take this and wash it, but with the texture paste I like to just at least somewhat wipe it up because it will dry and harden on there. It's just a lot more scrubbing that I don't want to have to deal with. So just doing that a little bit and wiping it up with my rag. Saves a lot of extra work later. Okay. Well, and you can see most of it's cleaned off now, but okay. So now I'm going to hit it with my blowgun to my heat tool to dry it a little bit. So we have all the texture, we got our glitter, we have all our strings and stuff showing through. So this really is a high texture page. So when this dries, you'll be able to rub this. There'll be tons of texture. And because the glitter and everything is underneath the paper, like I can rub that and it doesn't come off of my fingers. So it's a nice way to seal in glitter and stuff like that if you want to use it and it not get everywhere. And this doesn't take very long to dry at all, so I'm not going to put it back in my book today because I'm going to leave it out so it can dry completely. But yeah, so there is basically our page, and we've got glitter, we've got string, we've got decorative ribbon. Let's see, what else do we have? We have yarn, we've got texture paste, we've got glimmer or shimmer mist. We've got our paint, cheesecloth. So I mean, we have a ton of things on here. Not to mention the fact we just have that like deckled edging that makes it look like it's, you know, homemade paper that we've made. So yeah, I'm gonna, you know, create a faux background with a lot of different textures underneath. You know, lay them all down, glue them. You can use glue stick, or you know, I could have glued each ribbon down with a string of Fabri-Tac and then come back through and, you know, Mod Podge my tissue over top of it. But yeah, so there we go. Let me hold it up so you can see it. And I mean, you can see the layers of the shimmer. Like, you can see the paint, then you can see the shimmer. Hopefully you can see the shimmer. Yeah, there you can see the shimmer of the glitter. And then try to hold it sideways if you can see the texture in that page. If you look down through that, maybe from this side better, you can see the texture in it as it moves around. So I mean, there's a ton of texture on this page. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, have a great day. We'll be back with the last internal page. Tomorrow we'll be doing front and back again, and then we'll start doing all of our little insert pages in between. And we'll still have our covers to do, but we'll do those last. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.